for some blue. We're going to be hanging out for about 15 minutes. I think. Who's heavy breathing on the comms? You hearing that? Maybe it's me.
Maybe I'll take this moment to say good morning, everybody. We've had a few people change over, so Yoko's gone for a well-deserved rest, and Monica's now on the SPL. If we've got time, maybe we should do a
Monica.
good morning, quick round of introductions.
You'll have to go again in a minute.
Morning, Monica. Jeb Dexter here, Senior Project Engineer with Ocean Networks Canada, helping out connecting to this cork logger instrument and getting the data sent to shore.
Thanks, Jeb. Who else we got in the back row? And yep, I'm making eye contact with you. It's your turn.
Hi, Monica. I'm Steph Golub. I'm a data steward at Ocean Networks Canada, and I'm doing all of the dive logging tonight, so we can capture everything that we're doing here, so we can record all of the metadata needed to track all these devices.
That's going to be particularly important on this one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a site we haven't visited in a long time, so it's good to get as much information as possible.
Sounds good.
Historically, there was octopus hiding at the top of these. I didn't see them on the way in.
Maybe we'll see some on the way out.
That would be cool.
I'm AJ Barron, Field Services Manager and dive lead for this shift. So I'm just reading instructions and heckling the front row.
Danny Henshaw, ROV pilot, kind of just observing right now.
Awesome, possum. Why don't, video, are you ready?
Yep, this is Ashley on video. Looking at stuff, making sure it's in focus.
Ashley's over there with Aaron. They're huddled. They're having a video huddle over there. Ooh, look, it's a Tina 4. Is that a Tina 4? Oh, yeah? Oh, it is. I think it is. It's gone.
Well, it's a great segue because you're up next, sir.
I'm Dan. I'm sitting in the co-pilot chair. A handful of manipulators.
And I'm Jake. I'm sitting in the pilot's chair.
Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
And I'm Lynette, navigator.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. And for those of us in this time zone, good morning. For everybody else, wherever you might be, good. Insert time zone here.
So Martin Heisman on shore is taking a first look at the data we downloaded. He sent me a copy of it here. When it comes out of the instrument, it's in some kind of unreadable gibberish format. And
Is that a scientific term, Jeb?
so, that's right. unreadable gibberish. Specifically, it's pressure period counts in hexadecimal. And
That's right. Yeah,
there you go.
completely understandable.
So he wrote a script to translate, to parse that out, and I'm just looking at the values. They're still not decibar or PSI, but at least they're showing us a increasing pressure trend from when we had it on the surface to when it reached the bottom. And the timestamps look right for when I started the logging before deployment to when I downloaded the data, so promising so far.
Sweet.
I have a note here saying that we expect the borehole pressure to be less than ambient seafloor pressure. So I guess if you look at values in the last 15 minutes, you should see a decline.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Dan, I'm not certain on the science there, but some of these core holes are showing an exchange in the opposite direction, and I guess that's probably the goal, to put all these together and see which way fluid's flowing in and which way fluid's flowing out.
Ah.
Yeah, AJ, I'll take a closer look at the last number of samples. It might be something better left for Martin. It's still a little cryptic in the format I have.
Martin has shared some plots with us, and they all look very squiggly. But I don't see much change in the last 15 minutes.
It's on the order of PSI, I think, like tens of PSI. So
Yeah.
on the full scale of the whole
Yeah.
descent, he'll have to zoom in.
Enhance.
I never did get blue on it. It didn't work. It's always two brushes, isn't it? It's so even more convenient now. Don't blame me for that. I'm the one that decided to give you yet another monitor.
More screens.
The infamous Monitor 5. So I should probably, while we're waiting, I'm going to if I could find the right mouse. Too many meese.
Got some comments here. Said apparently the data is in hexadecimal, and then I love the follow-up, just to be fun. And it should, this is an over-pressurized hole. And that's from Dr. K.
Right on.
Overpressurized.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to our
No.
HA here? But not up or? Oh, I got more tabs. It's on that tab. I'm gonna, Danny, I'm gonna cycle power to this cinema camera here. First I'm gonna get out of this screen. Leave. Changes you made may not be saved.
Are you talking about the down view cam?
No, the cinema camera. So cinema camera is gonna go blank for a minute. The lower camera. And the idea being here that I'm releasing control and resetting, then it should be under control again by the stream deck back there.
Gotcha.
It'll take about 45 seconds for the NDI to reboot.
Anytime you guys need to be jazzed, think of me as your dance
We got two dive logs going on here. Can also do this. So that's an accurate number then right now, you reckon?
Yeah, it just jumps
I see.
every now and then. If you wait long enough, you'll see it. There it is. Little 3-meter jump.
Right.
Dan, we've got a question here for you.
Sure.
It says, if we gave you a bubble completely wallpapered with monitors and cameras, would you die from happiness or just want one more camera?
One more monitor.
One more monitor, there you go.
Hey, Steph, would it be easy for you to dig up the timestamp on when they turned the valve? Exactly?
Just from tonight?
Yeah.
Yep.
Martin's showing us a nice close-up plot of the last few minutes of the pressure readings, and I'm wondering if I can give him the exact time when we turned it to see if he can pick that out.
Sure, just give me a second.
Thanks.
I don't have an exact time, but I marked it in my notes as 3 o'clock Pacific Standard. So it'd be 1000.
But we weren't plugged in when we turned the valve, so how would you?
Yeah, that's about the
What-
same
it was-
time I have. It's in UTC 09:59:26.
9:59. Thank you. Dan, it was logging on its own internal power at that time. So when I subsequently downloaded the data set, it should show everything from pre-deployment until
Oh, I see. I
when
see.
we turned it on. Yeah.
Right.
The wellhead was logging?
No, the cork logger we're deploying
Yeah.
was logging at the time. Sorry, not when we turned the valve. I guess I should be clear. When we plugged it in.
Yeah.
I forgot that we sequenced it that way, so that's the timestamp I'm interested in.
Okay, so that time was about 0350.
My mistake. Thanks for
Oh, sorry. No,
pointing that
that's when we plugged. Sorry. 0345.
when we made the QD connection.
The QD connection, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for... so I'll just write that down. AJ, could you give it to me one more time? And
Well, Steph's probably got a better number.
oh, okay.
So when was the hydraulic connection made?
Yeah, 1 sec. I have 10:38:35. It's a UTC.
10:38. Okay. I don't have really good horizontal gradient marks on this plot, but I do see something happened around that time. I'll have Martin look closely at it if he's interested.
Yeah, that time might be a little early because it was hard to tell exactly when the connection was made, but
Plus or minus a few
roughly.
minutes, probably. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Maybe plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Martin had made a comment while we were just discussing. His guess was that it was plugged in at 10:30 UTC, so he's within a few minutes of what we figure. And his plot shows a decreasing pressure at that time, which is consistent with their expectation.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very annoying.
Okay. Martin says, looks good. Let's not mess with it.
Sweet.
Okay, so there's a couple other things I'd like to do. I'm going to resync the clock, clear the memory.
Not mess with it, followed by...
Not mess with it physically. Well, actually, I'll ask Martin. We can just leave it running. The clock is 5 hours old. It's probably pretty good.
We're going to sit here for 5 hours?
What's that? I mean, it sat at air temperature for a little while and drifted an imperceptible amount, right?
Very sensitive pressure gizmo you have on there, isn't it?
I think the resolution is advertised in parts per billion.
Wow.
Yeah. Martin says, deploy and leave it. Okay, so I won't play with the clock. I will send the deploy command, and then I'll let you know when that's done.
Roger.
Jeb, if you need to fix clocks, about 50% of the ones in my house are off, and then daylight savings occurs, and the other 50% become off.
Right.
Yeah, and the original 50% are right on time.
So if you average them, you're always half an hour off.
Late. And for those who are wondering, we are in the Pacific time zone. And thanks again for everybody who's tuning in. It is the wee hours in this time zone. I always feel unusually accomplished when I'm up before the sun. I'm like, ha, I beat you.
Just cancel.
Okay, so I've issued the deploy command, and I can see the instrument sent out a string, so I'm satisfied. Jake, you're welcome to turn off power on that port.
Roger. Turning off power.
Thank you.
Power is OFF. Don't do it. Don't.
All right, we're confirmed power is off.
Jake's getting ready to update software on his computer. And that's
No, I've been trying to disable updates for like a week, and I can't figure out.
no, I
Eventually
tried
they
to.
stop giving you the option.
What's that, AJ?
Eventually they stop giving you the option to ignore updates. Is power confirmed off?
Power is confirmed OFF.
Then we can go ahead and demate the 7-wing,
Roger.
put it back on its parking position.
D-mating.
And we've got a lovely, hooray! Thank you for getting the system re-instrumented, and it's always safer to deploy without messing with the clock. So it sounds like everybody's in agreement.
Sure. I'm quite happy to take that kind of advice.
It would have been more fun to mess with it though.
I don't know. This hooray in all caps. I think we should respect it.
Ooh, they're going for the curl.
Going for the curl.
Flat coiling it.
We're done with this one, right? We're not going to use this instrument again.
Correct.
It will be less floppiness on our whatever we're going to do next.
Click. So
did I just break the tire up?
how do we feel about the stability of the logger on this ledge?
One way to find out.
It's hard to tell how big the gap is.
Yeah, I'll just put a little safety grab on it here and then we'll get off it with the Iran. It'll be easier to, if we want to move it, we can justify your rope rigging.
I guess we might want to dust cap this before we mess around too much, or we can dust cap it after. Dealer's
dust
choice.
cap now would be all better, but
All right.
you want to open the toy box for us?
You ever accidentally got anything caught in the toy box?
Oh yeah.
What's
Dan's notorious for putting extremely large rocks into the toolbox.
extremely large rocks?
Yes.
Tell us more. Why extremely large rocks?
Because geologists are generally greedy.
Yes.
Oh,
More material.
Geologists
To
always
study.
want bigger rocks.
bigger rocks. I see. Did you ever get any wayward critters?
We have caught a fish or two in the bio box before on my other vehicle, but they didn't stay in very long.
I can't imagine it's a very efficient way of fishing.
No, but that's what the suction sample is for.
Alvin,
there you go.
Alvin caught a swordfish one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that? I mean, swordfish are enormous.
There's a story about it. I guess they were at depth and the swordfish got freaked out and like kind of attacked the sub and then got lodged in the sub, and they were worried that the swordfish may have damaged something, so they surfaced and the swordfish came up with it.
Wow.
And at that point the swordfish wasn't going to live, so they ended up feeding the entire crew for a few days swordfish.
What's funny about that is that same thing happened to the Pisces subs, but the swordfish broke his bill off and it actually jammed in and like got caught in a bunch of hydraulic hoses. Swordfish do not like human-occupied vehicles.
Good thing we're in an ROV then.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there was a squid that we bumped. We, Ocean Networks Canada, bumped a squid, and it attacked the ROV arm because it felt that it was rather rude that we had bumped into it. And if anybody's interested in that footage, that's on the Ocean Networks Canada YouTube under Squid Attack. Now, my favorite part about this is the squid in particular would be generous to call him foot long, you know, and he was attacking, I think it was either Herc or Ropo, so it was a pretty one-sided fight, I would say. I'm really curious how big the swordfish was, because they're finding that swordfish start out as nearly planktonic. They're so small, and then they grow into these beautiful, massive fish.
Interesting.
I got a good grab on that thing? I can't see.
I think so.
Looks good enough.
Okay, here we go.
So Jacob, Dr. Katie has said the sword from the swordfish ended up in the Hui president's office.
Wow.
So I guess we can verify.
I believe it was the 60s. It was like one of Alvin's very first dives or something.
Huh.
Do you think it started like any fishing story where it got caught and then they had it, and then it kind of progressed where they ended up feeding the crew for days, and 10 years from now it'll be feed the crew for a month?
Yes, progressively. The fish gets bigger every time you tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
The bill from a swordfish is still stuck in the Pisces submarine's syntactic foam.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That happened in 2018.
You should still have that
17.
in your office, Denny.
The foam is still attached to the vehicle.
Yesterday you told us about some tables you upcycled. If
Oh,
once
the
that,
sediment traps?
yeah, once that foam is retired, maybe you can cycle it into something.
Let's not recycle the Pisces submarine's main foam. Unfortunately, those subs are destined for a museum sooner than later.
Hey Nav, can we get an in position for this spot?
You'd like a position?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And heading.
Dan's going for the low tap.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. 47.908.781.05 north. 128.749.934.01 west. Heading 111.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just not seeing the depth on that.
Depth 2613.
2613. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. 20 cameras. Can I see the jaws in any of them? Can we zoom in on the Zeus a little? I just want a shot of those Orion jaws there. The port manipulator jaws. Maybe a little more. So, what do we figure? Ah,
Yeah.
tap it again and then it's open.
Got some more good news coming in, folks, here. The data indicated clean hydraulic connection, namely a decrease in the formation line pressure and a change in the signal. So all your efforts have paid off. Thanks for the careful operation and attention to details.
What's going on here?
That's from Dr. Earl Davis at Pacific Geoscience Center. Yeah. Thanks, Earl, for hanging out on the other end of the line. And your help building this. Earl put together part of the hydraulic assembly for us and donated pretty much all the parts.
The shoulder must be all the way up. Can
Yes.
you look at the shoulder with the craft? I mean the Zeus?
And thanks, Dr. Katie, for all the insight into the historic
I guess I could do that too, because
cork
I have
deployments.
the same buttons. Shoulder is not all the way up. Okay, let's hold that view for a second.
And of course, thanks to Dr. Martin Huesman too, our staff scientist who we work closely with on these instruments.
My jobs are still caught on it.
If you roll your
Which one is shoulder, number 2? Oh,
if you
that's
forearm roll, you'll unhook.
yeah, but which way?
I would turn it to the left.
Counterclock. Where's that button? Forearm roll left. What's this left and right business, Jake? There should be a clock and counterclock. Nothing happening there. There it goes.
Your pressure's kind of low.
It's cranked all the way up.
If you wrist rotate clockwise, maybe you'll unhook. Looks like you're catching on a jaw right there.
Yeah.
For those of us who are still thinking of the swordfish, I had a viewer write in that Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, WYYY, they have a page on the history of Alvin, and in 1967 is when the incident occurred. And sure enough, it says the fish was brought back to the surface and cooked for dinner.
Like a
Yeah, remember to spin your
yeah, I'll deal with that later. Okay, tilt down for us. Are you wide there? Go wide video. Are you all happy with this? There's the rope loose,
Yeah,
and I'm off it.
looks a little precarious. Jeb, you think it's worth trying to give it a little pull back towards the sub, like if the sub scooches back, or do you think any chance of pulling out the hydraulic hose isn't worth it?
That hose is pretty tight, and if I pick it up, I'm afraid it's going to rotate uncontrollably.
So there's no tension on the bridle right now.
Correct.
What if we let go and then use the manipulator to just tug the platform towards yourself a little bit? Is that out of the question, or?
Yeah.
It might snag actually on the lip if there's some fasteners hanging through.
Try to give it a bump in on the porch. Okay. Oh, stop. It's moving the vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know. It's to my eye, it's almost half of it is hanging over the vault.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing, and it is up against the mast. Like if you look in the overhead cam,
It might be caught on our porch too.
Yeah. Although the risk is, the consequences are really high from,
Yeah.
yes, I don't
Well,
know.
maybe if we get sort of the porch and the sub out of there, we can just have a better look at it from a different angle and make a more informed decision.
Yeah, I like that.
It's not going anywhere if we let go right now, so.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Letting go.
And it could still take a tumble and keep a connection, right? You never know.
I hope not.
Yeah, we're on it. Lateral right a little, Jake. Okay, you're off. That was frightening.
Didn't love it.
Where's the porch button? Porch in.
Yeah.
HT pan right.
Looks a little precarious.
HT extend. Okay, I'm just going to stow the manipulators here.
If we grabbed it on this plastic plate, could we, in a sort of safe and controlled way, just pull it in that direction a little bit?
Yeah, probably. Let's get our toys
Worried about the hose
put
catching
away
right
here.
there.
Yeah, like hopefully it would come up and over the syntactic foam. We can try to keep an eye
Hold
on
on,
it.
Jake, before you get too close there. Let me stow the... Still got this thing sticking out. Not sure where it is. Should be okay, yeah?
Can you tell us a little bit more? What is this instrument? And we're planning to leave it here? We're planning to take it with us?
Jeb can tell you about it, but
Okay.
we're planning on leaving it. It's logging the pressure in the wellhead.
You can come...
Yeah, I can elaborate a bit.
tilting,
AJ, I don't know
tilting down
if you want
just
to
a little.
engage Martin specific. Well, I guess it's
Oh, you can see.
mostly an operational question about what we're doing right now. I don't know.
I see him typing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Monica, this is a core hole that was drilled in the mid-90s, and the study is looking at the exchange of fluid from the seafloor to the, from the ocean down through the seabed below. So there's a cap on this core hole that they put in, and we've just connected a pair of pressure sensors. One that's an ambient pressure sensor that just gets the seafloor pressure, and the other which connects into the wellhead, giving us an idea of what the pressure is hundreds of meters below the surface. So in the can we've got a battery, a data logger, a couple sensors, and we're not sure when we'll visit it again. We've got a battery in there that'll last at least 5 years.
So it's intended to be autonomous. It's going to stay here till we can come back for it.
That's right.
All right, well then I'm going to chime in with my unprofessional opinion that we don't want it teetering over the edge. We want it to be safe.
We do. And there's always a chance, you know, touching something could cause more problems, but the balance of
So you want me
whatever.
to play with it, do you?
Yeah, I think
Rather.
very carefully, just using the plastic on the side, on this side.
I'm gonna give you a little leash now, Jake. Tight on the wire.
70 pounds light now, so.
Yeah.
Any little tug is like.
I can see a good bow in the tether there, so you're not getting yanked. You're gonna have to zero your. Oh, you got 40 Z bias.
We got lots of people adding their comments here, and definitely for me, it's great background information. So background information that is helping me understand a little bit more. So I appreciate them coming in. And
Why don't you just hold on to it, pull down there, and you're probably gonna have to have a little something. Better if you hold on to it while we're doing this.
Hold on to it?
Yeah, if you don't stick lock.
Yeah, all right.
Because if you have to compensate and then come out of stick lock, it could go pear-shaped. Are you stable?
Yep.
Okay. The vehicle's really late now, so any touches I do here are going to be telegraphed to Jake. So I don't know how much control we're going to have here. The idea is just to scoot it to the left a little. Is that it?
Yes.
Roger.
so, Jeb, there's some extra information added here, and Dr. Katie said the data logger measures the simultaneous pressure of the seafloor and the ocean crust.
Just going
the
to
seed
try
hole.
and tweak your heading.
Tells us about the fluid flows inside the ocean's crust. And we have a lot of them on the Juan de Fuca Ridge flank. Oh, it's too early for that kind of alliteration this morning. And it's a network of sensors that helps us better understand how fluid moves around the porous upper ocean crust.
Excellent.
That's really nice, Dan.
Happy with that?
I think you could do a little more, but
Roger.
especially as careful as you're being.
Thanks, Dr. Katie. Always feel I'm just barely getting the idea of the science stuff when I'm speaking as an engineer.
Well, the longer I do any engagement, science, exploration, the more I realize it takes a whole team, a whole village. And Dr. Katie is pointing out that this is even more important.
Better luck from the backside, just like.
As the original vessel that
Scooting it out.
installed these
like
is no longer
twisting it.
available.
Okay.
I think that's great there, Dan.
Roger.
That feels like it's more on the ledge than off the ledge as opposed to before. And we haven't put any load on that hydraulic hose yet, so I think that's perfect.
Perfect, I'll have to do.
All right, I'm going to take a photo. Ka-chink.
Capturing.
All right. Photo document the valve, done. End of wellhead operations, everyone. Good job.
Sweet. Survived that one.
You know what's up next? Our favorite thing. Sediment cores.
Oh, yeah.
So the instructions are position the ROV off of the cork and onto the seabed,
It's going to be muddy.
and then collect 2 sediment cores. And we'll record that location.
Well, I do wonder how dusty this thing's going to look in that, hopefully next year or 5 years, depending on when we come back for it. It's so bright and clean and shiny now.
How are we for Atlanta Herc action? There's that camera autofocusing. I warned Jonathan about that. Take it back out of autofocus. Oh wait, you have a button back there for that. You guys do. There's a button that if you...
for the focus?
Yeah, if you press it, it goes in and out of auto. It focuses real quick and then goes into manual or something like that.
How close to the cork do we want to be? For this?
It doesn't matter. This is an opportunistic, just in the area.
All right, we'll just
So maybe
sit
not
down.
super close, maybe somewhere a little less disturbed.
Yeah, there's all tailings around here, right? From the drill.
Yeah. Back to McLean sediment traps. Now, I wouldn't worry about it. I think it'll be after this bout of bad weather we're going to get. Correct. Map. The old map and nap. Yeah.
How about right here, 10 meters from the trap?
Works for me.
Cork.
So again, just more good news. Kudos from Dr. Kate. She says, thanks, it looks much more secure. Excellent nudging. And that I can anticipate that it will get grody looking pretty soon.
One of the sure things about ocean science. Everything comes up skunky.
Well, that must be pretty interesting stuff because we keep doing these push cores. So even though it comes up skunky, it's got to be interesting.
It's interesting to someone.
Skunky stuff.
I don't know who.
I don't know. I got to help
Steve.
Come down a bit.
Steve and
Science
Fabio.
Steve.
Yeah.
Loves a good push core.
I got to see them working with some of them yesterday. It's kind of neat. They could like cut it into slices and put the different slices in different bags and then science, you know.
And then science happens.
Yeah.
I'm happy with this location.
Yep.
So you can go ahead with the sediment cores when you're ready.
You want to wreck back? Tilt up a bit. A second here. Make sure our toy is stowed here. Pitch down.
Now I see what looks like some holes in the seafloor already. Are those, do we assume, biological? Like it looked like there's one right on our left.
I think so.
What's that word all scientists love to use?
What's that?
Bioturbation.
Ooh, bioturbation.
Such a cool word for a hole in this mud.
I don't know. I think that might be a little bit harder to put on a Scrabble board than mud.
I'm going to come up just a little bit. Seeing the bouncy there in Atlanta AFCAM. Well, that got cleaned out real well. So there's a note for your scientists, lazy scientists. They got to clean out the quiver as well as the core tube. Otherwise they get cross-contamination.
Sorry, the quiver still had mud in it?
Yeah,
Oh.
pulled it out and it goes,
All right, I'll pass that note along.
come on, Steve, you know better than that.
So, Dan, is the plan to do these, put them all down into the seafloor and then pull them all back up in reverse order?
We only got 2, so I think I'm just going to take it and run.
Straight down, straight up, all
But
right.
let's have some fun. If you want to pan left a little and zoom right in on the very tip of that core. Maybe I'll help you. You can zoom in a bit more. See what we're getting here. That'll do. Since I have it in another camera already. It's getting hard. That's me, Spav. So it just broke through. Almost stuffed it. I was getting greedy. And if you go too far, it shoots the top of the core into the top of the core tube, and that's it for that sample.
Nav, can I get coordinates for that, please?
Yep. 47.908 72313 north. 128.7500 5571 west.
Come wide video.
Depth 2615.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Maybe a question for our experienced coring team? Anything really unusual in the cores or interesting? Pull something up and see, I don't know, purple?
Sometimes we core animals.
Mm.
So they'll be hanging out on the surface, and only way to correctly get them is we just stick the core over them and
There we go.
take the core with the creature attached.
Okay, same game. We'll zoom in. That full zoom, is it? You want on the hole? Next to the hole? How about next to the hole? With the little critter dugout.
Looks like there's some sort of critter under the right arm. Do you see it looks like a little amphipod, the little legs sticking out there?
Yeah. See 2 or 3 of them.
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna not push my luck this time. Trying to, the hard stuff in there helps to. Putting quite a bit of jam on it there.
Gang, I'm going to turn in for the night. Thanks for all the help getting this deployed.
See you, Jeb.
Yeah.
All right, Jeb.
Yeah, thanks.
Sliding out.
See you, Jeb.
Sleep well.
Come on, make a seal. There we go. Sliding, staying. A lot of times it's a race because it starts sloughing out. Might see a critter there now that we're out of a very mad critter.
My home! Look what you did to my home!
Now I'm really curious what those little flat set of legs belong to.
Right.
Nope. To the right of it.
Can't see.
those of you who are just tuning in, we finished our work at the cork, and we are taking some push core samples, and we're currently zoomed right in on our last sample spot, just taking a look at all the dust settling and the tiny bits and critters there. AJ, what's our plan after this?
Ascend.
Ascend, heading back up to the boat. Now, the sun has only just arisen, but it does look pretty nice out there.
Am I not in?
You're in. It's in. Drop
Really?
it. Yeah. Tom's away.
Where is it? Oh, there it goes.
Now it's in.
Finally. I'd say it's in.
All right. You can come wide on the Zeus camera. Thank you.
Smoky hole.
All right, so with that, let's make sure everything is happy on the porch. I don't know if we want to get a jaw on the connector there since it's no longer zip tied
I think it's still zip tied, but yeah, I can put it.
on the puck or wherever you want.
I think it's still zip tied.
I thought we slid it before.
I don't think I broke it. They probably, I don't know why they would wound them.
Dan, what do you mean by wound 'em?
Oh, yeah, you're right. They did.
Yeah, snip them just a little bit to make them
Okay.
break easier.
Oh, very good, very good. That's just so Herc doesn't have to work so hard to take them apart, correct?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's,
Some of the strongest thing we've ever had to deal with on the bottom of the ocean was actually a rubber band.
A rubber band. What happened with the rubber band?
I stretched it probably a good 2 feet before and it wouldn't break.
I wonder if that has anything. Was it here off this coast? Was it in warm water, cold water?
It was in warm water, but well, cold water because of the depth. But
See, I had someone tell me years ago that your rubber bands last longer if you put them in the fridge.
I think so. Because these rubber bands that you could break on deck, no problem. We had a whole bunch of them bundling cable up in the basket. And we literally pulling the cable and it's just bang, bang, bang. Good 2 feet of rubber band that you could normally break just by stretching it that far.
forward.
You guys are good to ascend whenever you want. No vertical transect, but I'm sure they'd appreciate a view of the ocean on the way up.
Jake, do you need a break?
Yeah.
Okay, coming down.
Perfect timing.
You can just, yeah, run it out. I'll do it. Deal with the camera.
Hey, there's a nice look at the cork before we go.
Which way is the wind blowing?
I don't know.
How long do you think our ascent will take?
Oh yeah, look at that dust cloud.
You can just run off to the east there if you want, or
It
west.
depends on our speed,
Run off to
but
the west.
2 hours,
2 hours, give or take. Very good.
2 and a bit. Hercules should be pretty light.
Yeah, we should make like 35 meters a minute on the way up.
Yeah, so
30 meters a minute, probably. We'll see when we get going here.
at 30 meters a minute, 87 minutes. It's not very long at all.
No, that sounds pretty good.
What's happening with your tether there? Maybe run it out a bit further.
Nice relaxing look at the blue water.
There it is, all stretched out.
Do you want to put the winch up, the big screen? Perfect.
All right.
Ready?
Just taking a moment for some folks to swap out, stretch legs, get their biological needs met.
Me full vertical up, Danny, and just enough forward to get the vert spinning, or the lat spinning. Full vertical up.
Is it the right moment for an up, up, and away?
Yeah, we're off bottom.
Up, up, and away. So now as we're heading up here, there's a question I'm curious. I'm going to pass it around to the group here. And that's wondering how close is your current job to the job you thought you would have? So maybe I'll start with Steph. How close is this job that you're doing now to the job that you thought you had?
A little different. I studied marine biology,
Oh yeah?
so it's I don't know, pretty similar to be working in the ocean, but I guess different that it's not always biology focused. But
Do you find that helps in your work as a data logger to have that biology background?
I mean, when we're on shore and logging more biology, definitely. I think it's also just really interesting to know more about what
We're
we
going to
see.
go back to the dive zone.
But yeah, I don't know.
No,
Life takes you in funny directions, and it's nice. Still in the realm, so I'm very happy with it.
sounds good. Now, you said that when we're back on shore, we do more logging. Can you tell me a little bit about that, or tell our listeners about that? Because once we finish this dive, I mean, the whole dive you've been logging, right? You log when frequently, but you do more when we get back to shore. Can you tell us more about it?
Just
circle your
different
auto head.
logging on shore. So we have 2 loggers back
Yep.
on shore. Grant and Ed are supporting us right now.
See him once.
So we
Fighting
have a
harder
primary
than it.
logger that
Huh?
will take over for
Am I
me
not pushing hard enough?
No,
when I'm busy or I need a break.
no,
or
just when you are
whatever.
finally pushing.
And a secondary logger that will log biology. So yeah, it's just with all the operations that we have on ship, we don't focus on biology as much because it's a bit too much of a distraction.
Fair. So, and I guess the other takeaway from this is that we're always improving those data logs. So if we see
Sorry,
something,
I need to take my auto
maybe
head
like
in
those
now.
little sets of legs I saw on the seafloor there, maybe somebody knows what it is, and I can go back into the archive, and instead of seeing sets of legs, I'll see whatever the creature is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put your
yeah, all the
winch alternate right there.
keeners out there are
The
scientists.
big screen?
Yeah, you know how
They
to
can
do
go
that
back
over there?
and give us proper
Yeah.
IDs for
Press,
everything that
layout.
we've seen tonight.
Then slot 2, yeah, the one right below the blue. Nope, that one. Yeah, now press picture in picture again. Picture in picture. Oh,
No, you want
press picture in picture again. So it
click
tells you where your destination is.
Yeah,
It's already one.
1, so you want winch
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
hold.
Winch hold.
If it gets dirt in it, is it a sand winch?
What's that?
If it gets dirt in it, is it a sand winch?
Yeah, it gets dirt in it.
Dad jokes.
Very dirty. greasy area.
Thanks, Steph, for telling us that. Lynette, how close is this job to what you thought you would be doing?
Oh gosh. What I thought I would be doing when.
Oh, sorry. Little context. How close you thought it was to what you'd be doing when you were in school, when you were doing your kind of, let's say after high school, sort of university type time range?
Oh boy. I don't know. I mentioned yesterday that I was an art major as an undergrad, so very, very different from that. But went to grad school for ocean mapping. So maybe not too dissimilar. The navigation role is a little bit different, but we do the mapping and navigation, so it's kind of a nice addition that was maybe a little bit unexpected, but fun.
Neat. Well, and maybe it's just my personal opinion, but I do think there is some art to making maps as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
They can be art in their own.
Absolutely.
Dan and Danny, how about you folks? You started, how close is your schooling to your job?
Well, I went to school to be a marine engineer, which is to work on the engine rooms on these ships and maintain the toilets and the electrical systems and the propulsion systems. And now I'm flying an ROV on the bottom of the ocean.
So what would you say the overlap would be out of 10? 3, 8? What do you think? 2? 2? Fair enough.
Actually, no. A lot of the knowledge that I gained at school and working in the marine industry, I apply to my everyday life, especially when it comes to electronics, diagnostics, and hydraulic systems.
Very good.
Also being able to fix anything with a roll of duct tape and baling wire.
There might be a fine line between fixing everything and making coffee tables out of leftover parts, don't you think?
Well, depends on how you look at it.
What about you, Dan?
Am I going too fast? Me.
Yeah.
I dropped out of high school in 9th grade and started working offshore. Been there ever since.
I would say that's a 10 out of 10 alignment then.
What's that?
That's a 10 out of 10 alignment then.
I'm joking, but that's an often in my trade that's not far from a reality. When I was a youngin', I used to visit Scripps with my parents in San Diego, and I wanted to be a marine biologist. And my first biology class, I was completely grossed out with the whole frog thing. That was enough of that. Dropped that class. I was an English major for a while, history major for a while, if you can believe that. In junior college, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. Wound up going to a trade school for a couple of years and learned electronics. Took an aptitude test, and I had an aptitude for electronics, which is really weird. I like to take things apart, basically. And yeah, so at the end of the day, I wound up surrounded by marine biologists. And
cool, thanks for sharing. And Ashley, may I toss it to you?
Yeah, I went to school for marine science and environmental studies,
Yeah,
so
just having a good time.
I'm not too far off. I think I thought I'd probably be on a smaller boat and much more shallow than what we do on the Nautilus.
Cool. What'd you give yourself as a alignment score out of 10? 1 being not aligned and 10 being perfect.
7.
7, very good. I would agree with that. I think I'd probably put myself somewhere in the same neighborhood, 6, 7. I went to school for education, and of course, a big part of education is outreach and doing education where it's available. And there's this great opportunity to teach about the ocean right now to anybody who's listening. And so I'd say it's a 7 out of 10. I don't have to do attendance in the morning, and I don't have to do report cards, which that's kind of a bonus. For our listeners who are just tuning in, we are ascending. Having completed our dive objectives, we're coming back to the surface. We're still available to take your questions if you've got any. Happy to have them. And if you don't have questions, you're welcome to enjoy this lovely blue water as it heads on by us. And we make our way up to the surface. Steph, have you ever been to sea before?
I have, but it was quite a long time ago, and never actually slept on a boat before.
Oh, so how are you finding it? Can you tell us about sleep on a boat?
The sleeping's actually great. The boat rocks you to sleep, and it's just I've been sleeping very well on the boat.
Okay. Well, glad to hear. Having never slept on a boat, to finding that it's quite restful and relaxing, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very welcome surprise.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm in a cabin with a bunkmate, so I've got a bunk bed and my curtains and stuff there, and there's not a lot of real estate to move around and set up, but I do enjoy the boat rocking as well. Pardon me.
What about you, Monica?
What about me?
Are you doing anything close to what you thought you'd be doing?
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought I would be teaching, so yeah, I think I'd give it a 7 or 8 out of 10, because again, I get to do some teaching while I'm on the boat with the live connections. So again, we do have ship-to-shore live connections if people are interested in that, where we can connect with groups and students and answer their questions live as we're doing things. So there is some alignment there. I can tell you the being on a boat part is the part that's really out of left field. I really didn't ever think that would be a reality, but I have unfortunately developed a taste for it. It is quite fun out here. And as Steph said, you know, the boat rocks you to sleep. You get to meet all these exciting people.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
I actually had one of those ship-to-shores yesterday after we got back on deck, and I had a lot of fun talking to his kids and explaining what we do and answering their crazy questions.
What was your favorite question yesterday?
What was my favorite zone?
Your favorite zone?
Yeah.
Go on. Don't leave me hanging.
Well, you have different zones of the ocean, right?
Right.
Different depths. So you've got pelagic zone, you have abyssal zone, you have the hadal zone. I'm sure there's like 6 more zones that I can't remember because I'm not a scientist. But my favorite zone is the abyssal zone, which is the depth between 4,000 and 6,000 meters.
Cool. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to toss it to everybody in the van. Let's see, Lynette, what do you think? What's your favorite zone?
Oh my gosh, favorite zone?
I don't know about you folks, but I've got that Finding Nemo clip stuck in my head right now, the one where Mr. Ray swims away and he goes, let's name the zones, the zones, the zones. Let's name the zones of the open sea.
Okay, now name them.
I didn't stick around for the rest of the song. I don't know the rest of it.
I don't know. How about Is there a twilight?
There is a twilight zone. Yeah, so named because it's kind of like Twilight. And yeah, I like that one. There's lots of creatures in there with, at least as far as I understand, with bioluminescence, which is one of my absolute favorite things. I can't get enough of it, personally. You'll get lanternfish and hatchetfish and all that kind of cool stuff.
All right, excellent. That's what I'm going with.
Nice.
Twilight.
Twilight zone, very good. How about Ashley? You got a favorite ocean zone?
I'd call it a tie between twilight and epipelagic.
Epipelagic. What's that?
That top zone
Oh, the top
with
zone.
all the animals.
Cool, yeah. Well, that's a great point, actually. The top zone is where we do find, so far, the known majority of life. A lot of those creatures that we're familiar with are up in those sunlit zones. Steph, what do you think? You got a favorite zone?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say the epipelagic as well. I mean, there's so much cool stuff in the lower zones, but I find it so freaky.
There are definitely some unusual body plans down there, eh?
Yeah, it's cool, but I don't know, kind of scary.
Yeah, fair. I don't know, for myself, Twilight Zone's pretty good. I also think that the trench zones, and I know that's not the right word for it. I know Hadal, thank you. The Hadal zone is one of my favorites because the things down there are so incredibly unusual and new.
I'm gonna have to be with you on that one because I've actually built instruments that go into the Hadal zones, including pressure testing instruments to those pressures of like up to 18,000 psi, which is the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
18,000 psi.
If you think about an elephant standing on a single square inch, that's about how much you're looking at.
Wow. That's a lot of pressure. One of the things that I think is amazing about the zones is that, unlike on land, they kind of are more global because it's depth related. So you can have a Hadal zone kind of stretching through big swaths of ocean, where on land you get more variation with temperature and features and things like that change them. Danny, do you have a favorite Hadal zone denzian?
Denzine?
Maybe.
Wait,
Creature.
creature.
Thing that lives down there. I said the word more confidently than I should have.
Well, like I said, my favorite zone and the most I know about is the abyssal zone because my vehicle that I work on most of the time, which is Lukai, operates in the abyssal zone. I guess I should have let off with that, but we have purple urchins. There's lots of sea cucumbers. Gummy squall.
Sorry?
A gummy squall.
What is that?
You should look it up.
A gummy?
Gummy squall.
Cool.
So it's actually really cool because I think it's a type of cucumber, but it has a giant fin on the back. It's really cool.
Nick, oh, there it is. Yep, deep sea, meet the gummy squirrel. Cyocoptes long codula, probably long fin on the back. Member of the sea cucumber. Aw, I'm gonna go so far as to say it's cute.
It is super cute.
Now, the ones in these photos are all bright yellow. Is that the color that you're from?
No, those are in, I believe, the Atlantic.
I see. What color do you normally see?
Purple.
Purple. You know what? That sounds like an upgrade to me. I like purple. Neat. Have you spotted any on ONC expeditions?
We did see some cucumbers yesterday, but I did not see a gummy squall. They usually like the abyssal zone, which is a little deeper than where we are right now.
good to know. I wonder how it got its name Gummy Squirrel.
Because it looks like a gummy bear?
With a big squirrel's tail, you think?
Yeah.
Cool. There you go, Gummy Squirrel. I like it. Now I've got something to add to my sea pig. You know, what's your favorite? I like the sea pig. I like the gummy squirrel. Got any other great sea cucumber names?
Oh, where's Megan when you need her?
Oh, I'll be sure to pester.
She was actually in the chat earlier this evening. Look at there.
Oh, what do we got?
I don't know. Dan looks like he knows.
Dan, what we got?
What's that?
What did you see?
I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist. A critter. Legs.
Critter with legs?
Critter with legs.
I see.
Gelatinous creature.
All right, so UFJ, unidentified flying jellyfish?
Yeah, something like that.
All righty.
USJ, I haven't heard that one before. That one's gonna stink.
Hey, it's the best we got, you know, unidentified flying jellyfish.
Unidentified. Wait, USJ, unidentified. That doesn't make sense.
UFJ,
UFJ.
unidentified
Fish.
flying jelly?
Sure. Okay.
Unidentified flying jelly? We could workshop it. I'm okay with that. I'm a huge fan of jellyfish, actually, the Nardarians in general. They've got so many neat things going on, and I get to use words like Nardarian.
Wow, it is beautiful outside.
Yeah, for those of us who are just tuning in, you can take a look at our quad view. You can see a wonderful sunrise starting this morning. I actually really like the quad view. We've got light blue, dark blue, and medium blue. Blue, blue, blue.
All the blues.
I like it. And then, of course, that sunrise peeking over the horizon. I gotta remember to use my lips. The horizon. I mean the horizon.
Red skies in the morning.
Sailor take warning.
Well, hopefully not.
Red skies at night, sailor's delight.
I think we got a little weather coming.
So if you think, what do you think? If you got a chance to name a sea cucumber, because we got the gummy squirrel, we got the sea pig. What do you think? Has anybody got a good name for a sea cucumber yet to be described? What would it look like?
You're asking a room full of engineers.
Well, hey, engineers are great. We can, you know, like, what about the crescent wrench sea cucumber? Maybe he's got little crescents all over it.
Monkey cucumber.
Monkey cucumber, there you go. That's a good idea. AJ, we didn't get your answer. We were discussing our favorite ocean zones. Which is your favorite ocean zone?
I might need some examples of an ocean zone.
No worries. So some of the ones that we talked about were the Hadal zone, so the deep trench zones. The
pelagic, is that a zone?
And the epipelagic.
I'll go with pelagic.
Cool. Why that one?
Because it's the only one I know.
Oh, good. I like it. I like it.
What about the miserable plain?
There you go.
The abyssal plane or the miserable plane? What did I hear?
I call it the miserable plane 'cause it's usually muddy.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. What's the very top of the ocean called, where all the whales are?
The surface.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I like being out of the ocean. How's that?
I actually don't know if it does have an official name other than the surface.
A quick Google search will give you a map of the zones.
Oh, let's have a peeky.
What about the Twilight Zone?
That's a good one too. That was one of my favorites.
That's Lynette's favorite.
Oh, that Twilight Zone.
Often feels like we're there.
So all my diagrams are coming back with epipelagic or sunlit zone at the top. I don't see the surface as being a zone.
The intertidal zone.
Ooh, that's a really good one too, actually, especially around Victoria. The epipelagic zone, or excuse me, the tidal zone, being very unique and varied on Vancouver Island. Great opportunity to go look for sea creatures. All right, now I found a really, really detailed diagram about the various zones, and I'm not even going to try say some of these ones.
I think you should try.
I think it's the littoral zone,
Littoral, yeah.
sublittoral, or shelf. That's kind of surfacey. And then neritic? Nertic? You know what? Photic. I like photic. That's good too. Sunlit zone. Video, as we head towards the sunlit zone, will you have to make any adjustments, or do the cameras somewhat adjust themselves?
It depends on if we leave them on auto or not, but typically I adjust the iris as we ascend.
Cool. What would happen if you left it? We'd get kind of an oversaturation?
Yeah, it'd become very bright and we wouldn't be able to see much. It'd get blown out.
I see. And again, anybody just tuning in that quad view, you can see the sun has poked itself over the horizon. And we're just ascending, making our way up to the surface with our push core samples. AJ, when you have a moment, can you tell us what we might do with the rest of today? When you've got a moment, of course.
Yeah, I think today's going to be focused on deck operations until the weather deteriorates. So we have 3 more sediment traps to deploy and 3 more ocean bottom seismometers. So once the ROV is on deck, then we'll set ourselves up for some sediment trap deployments. These are the ones that we do every year on the off-axis, we call it. So they're slightly off the main Endeavour ridgeline, and then we drop 1 sediment trap at main Endeavour field near our instrumentation, and yeah, and then we'll return to doing ocean bottom seismometers until we get weathered out, and then we might do some multi-beam mapping.
Very cool. I like it.
Weather mapping is such an oxymoron. Calling it.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the shape and structure of a sediment trap? Why is it designed the way it is? And what does it look like for someone who's never seen one?
Well, it's like a gigantic ice cream cone.
Yeah.
So it acts kind of like a big funnel in the ocean. So it catches all the falling detritus and marine snow that falls in a certain square footage, and then funnels it down into a very small bottle that's filled with brine. So when we deploy them, the bottles go filled with brine, and then when we recover them, they're filled with all this sediment that's floating around in the ocean, and those bottles get sent away to scientists to study. So it can tell them about what type of elements or materials are kind of being ejected from the hydrothermal vents or are coming from creatures in the ocean. And so there's a little carousel at the bottom that has several bottles. I can't remember how many, probably something like 25 or 30 bottles.
Cool.
And it's set on a timer so that at a particular interval it'll rotate. So so you are able to look at, at which time periods, certain detritus fell or the rate at which this stuff accumulates. So if you had it rotating every month or every 2 weeks, you'd sort of get that interval in your bottles.
And the brine is to keep things from floating up and out? Preserve it, maybe?
I think the brine is really just to kind of, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Sure. I know at previous expeditions I've seen the brine in the bottles, and it's kind of neat because you put it on the seafloor and then the brine just stays there. It's too heavy. Yeah, it doesn't float up and away.
That's right. I think you want something that's denser than the seawater that's there, but maybe not too dense, maybe something that matches. I don't know.
I'm going to have to go find and bug a scientist, my second favorite activity.
Steve would know.
Oh boy, I'll go bug him. Now you said we had 2 different types on board, is that?
No longer.
Oh.
We've jettisoned 3 of all the ones we have of the new type to us, new to us type.
Okay.
Manufactured by a company called Technicap out of France. Yeah, I don't know. I think they largely do the same thing. They're just made by 2 different manufacturers with 2 kind of slightly different designs, but they're both large funnels and they both have carousels with bottles in the bottom, so functionally they're equivalent. The McLean ones that we use are big and yellow, and they have syntactic foam football floats integrated right onto them. So the whole sediment trap is buoyant, and they just need an anchor underneath them. The Technicap ones don't have any integrated buoyancy, so you have to put a float above them and a weight below them. It's sort of nothing else different between them.
And how do we recover them?
So we put an acoustic release between the anchor and the trap, and when we want to come back in a year, we trigger the acoustic release. So we send a signal from the ship using a transducer head on a cable that we sort of lower into the water, and you give it a special secret code that's specific to that acoustic release, and then it'll emit a signal into the ocean. And these acoustic releases that are down at the bottom of the ocean holding our sediment traps, so they're listening for these signals, and when they hear them, they actuate some mechanism. So the ones we have like a screw inside, and when the screw rotates, it opens up the jaw and allows them to float free. It releases the clamp on the anchor. And so once it's no longer being held down by the anchor, the buoyancy of the float is enough to bring it all to the surface.
Very cool, thank you. Now you said each acoustic release has its own signal. Is that like a close encounters type signal? You know, a little musical interlude, and then up it comes?
It's like a really high-pitched chirp.
Okay.
So you'll hear it on deck when we're testing them, and you can even sort of hear it even when the transducer head's in the water.
What does it sound like?
It sounds like pico, pico, pico.
Oh, okay.
That does sound like that.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
Cool, and that's unique to each one.
I mean, they all sound like that to us.
Yes, of course, but
Yeah,
the
there's
machine.
some pattern in there that's unique, yeah,
Cool.
to each acoustic release.
And what do we do when they don't release?
Then we send Herc down
Punt.
with our cable cutters, our hydraulic cable cutter.
That's the only bad thing about acoustic releases are they're incredibly unreliable.
I wouldn't say incredibly unreliable. I think we've had I don't know that we've really ever had to rescue a Neptune acoustic release that hasn't triggered.
Well, you guys are a lot shallower than what I'm used to working with.
Yeah, sometimes we have to send multiple signals because the hydrothermal vents will mess with the sound. But no, they're pretty good. They only really don't trigger if you forget to put batteries in them or connect the transducer head.
Or turn them on.
Or turn them on.
All important steps we think of as it disappears into the murk, right?
Yeah.
Yep, of course. Well, thanks for that. That'll be neat today to see those things being deployed over the side.
Yeah, lots of deck work, so people can watch our back deck camera, see us putzing around.
Definitely, and I know that our socials team is big on sharing those stories.
You know what we forgot to do?
Oh,
I guess we can still do it, sorry.
no, go
Trigger
ahead.
all the Niskins.
I don't have Niskins in the die plan.
Yeah, right.
Why do we need to trigger them?
I don't know. The request to trigger all the Niskins. See if they leak.
I mean, if that's like a...
But you've got the arm holding the...
If that's a functional request, then that's one thing, but it's not a scientific request.
It's not in the dive plan. It's not happening.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, we have an arm holding a plugging position, so...
Yeah.
If folks are more interested in those sediment traps and other things that we're going to be doing with the deck work, our socials are a great place to check out information. So both Ocean Networks Canada and Ocean Exploration Trust, Nautilus Live, will have media available. Ooh.
Ooh, that was cool.
What was that?
Very hairy siphonophore, I think.
Neat. A hairy siphonophore.
Maybe we can get video to clip that. That was a great image.
Never gets old. I've been doing this for a while and I could still get a ooh out of myself.
Oh, that's great.
Like I said yesterday, every day is a new challenge and a new experience.
All right, well, we were talking about the gummy squirrel earlier. What would you call that siphonophore? What do you think?
Hairy siphonophore.
Hairy siphonophore. Hairy siphonophore, alrighty.
Cousin it.
Ooh, the cousin it siphonophore, that'd be a good one.
Totally dating myself there.
Thank you for singing Let's Name the Zones earlier. It's stuck in my head now.
I'm so sorry. But I think I could probably give the entire dialogue of that movie by rote, you know? Just need a few cues and then we'd have it.
It was a great movie.
Well, and I'd heard that, for those who are wondering, we were talking about the movie Finding Nemo. And I'd heard that a lot of the animators did study some marine biology and some ocean sciences to give it real authenticity to it. Do we get a lot of magnification out of the camera? That is to say that siphonophore that we went past, it looked pretty big. Is it? Is it big? Is it small? Do you have any guesses with the video?
Say that again?
It's hard to say.
Oh, the siphonophore. I'm wondering if we were looking at it, does the camera make it look more magnified than it is? Oh, or like this jellyfish that's popping into view.
Hard to say without the lasers on, for me anyway.
Oh, look, another jellyfish. How helpful.
Yeah, I think we should leave the lasers off for Fabio's machine learning algorithm. I'm not sure if he can do it at this ascent speed, but you never know. Might still be useful for him.
To my untrained eye, that looked like a big red jelly. I know it sort of looked blue, but I believe the species is called a big red jelly. And so maybe in a couple of weeks I'll have to go through the dive log and check and see if someone put big red jelly for me. We were talking a little bit earlier with Steph, our data logger. She was mentioning that we go back and look at the records and update them with creatures if we can.
Yeah, I think we're leaving that more to our science team now, because it was more of a task for the data stewardship team, but not all of us have a background in biology, so it's better for the experts to do it.
Very cool.
But you get to know some groups, some species as you support more expeditions. There's the more, I don't know, iconic or ones that just come up more, like the big red jellyfish.
Big red jelly, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and of course, all our listeners, enthusiasts, all the folks out there, they are welcome to access that data as well through the Ocean Networks Canada data portal. And I like CTube, that's where we got all of our dive videos. And if you're an expert on something and you see it, you can let us know. And we'll triple check with a few more experts and then update those dive logs. Maybe do a news release if it's something real cool. Oh look, another jelly. Kind of reminds me of a mushroom cap. You know when you're cleaning mushrooms and you pull the stem off and you got just the good part of the mushroom? Kind of looks like that.
Are you one of the people that doesn't eat the stem?
It depends, actually. It depends. Oh, there's another one. And it looks just like a mushroom. Must be getting close to breakfast time. I like cooking, so I guess I do eat the stem and the cap and whatever, depending on if it feels woody or not. Any guesses on what that cute little jelly might be? No?
Don't know.
Just a jelly.
It's too
All right.
small.
Small jelly. Oh. One of my favorite facts about the jellyfish, of course, is that jellies are plankton. They're planktonic because they get pushed around by the ocean. And that's kind of the definition of plankton. So not all plankton are really small. Some of them are larger. For example, the jellyfish get moved around in the current. Danny, I'm going to ask you. Do you have a favorite plankton?
No.
That's okay. Anybody else got a favorite plankton?
The one in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Hey, you know what? That's a good candidate. I like it. Yep. Yep, that's just plankton. If anybody's just tuning in, we are ascending, heading up to the surface. Finished our science objectives. Gonna bring ourselves to the surface and process the samples, do some more deck work. Danny or Dan, I have a question for you about the ROV tether that we're reeling in. Is that inside the ship? Is it on the deck of the ship? Where is it?
It's just underneath the back deck.
Underneath the back deck. Okay.
So there's 7 kilometers of electro fiber optic cable.
Mm-hmm.
It has 4 fiber optic conductors going through the middle of it.
And you said there's 7 kilometers of it.
Yes.
And why is that? Why 7 kilometers?
As we have vehicles that can go down to 6,000 meters, so...
Okay. So just a little extra.
Well, we take some off every once in a while. Every time
year?
we terminate, every year, we take, what, 10 meters off or more?
Yeah, roughly.
And why do you do that?
It's the exposed side of the cable, basically. It's what's exposed on deck. And do you guys send them in for testing?
Yeah, it's in the trades, that's common to re-terminate the lift wire on an annual basis. It's a requirement, actually, to re-terminate and then do a load test, 12,000 pounds. It gets the very end of the wire is exposed, as Danny says, on deck, but it also is subject to torsion, and it's dynamic there as Atlanta pivots back and forth on the end of the wire, so it's where it's likely to be damaged. And then it goes into a mechanical termination assembly. So that that needs to be redone every year. We don't want it to disintegrate, fail.
Makes sense. Good maintenance.
And then, yeah, often the cable's sent off and tested to destruction, so that tells us that the lift cable is still within its specified working load of 35,000 pounds.
Now that might be a real fun job, testing stuff to destruction.
It is.
Is that something you've done before? Can you tell us more?
Yeah, I tested, used to build manipulators and ROVs and tested a lot of the components.
What kind of rigors would you put them through? What kind of tests?
They go through, some of the basic rigors are, they go through thermal cycling, so we'll take them down to freezing and then bring them up to 35°C, something they would see on the equator, sitting on a hot deck or in a hot parking lot. And they go from sitting on a hot deck in the sun to down to, 2 degrees at the bottom of the ocean. So they need to survive that. Then we put them on a shaker table and run them through, subject them to vibration at different frequencies. So that simulates the vibration you feel here on the ship, or the vibration you would feel, running a automobile or a tractor or some piece of equipment, to make sure the nuts and bolts don't fall out, chips don't fall out of the circuit boards, and the connectors all stay connected. And yeah, we do some more interesting tests, like bolt a giant steel post to the floor of a test tank and take a manipulator and an ROV and see if we can break it. So we subject the manipulator to side loads, impact forces, like if we're flying up to a cork with a manipulator sticking out, 5,000 pounds of ROV behind it, what happens if you, bump what you're flying into? Overpressurized stuff, overvolt, undervolt, overamp, all that kind of wonky stuff that happens when generators go sideways. And then sometimes this good old-fashioned hammer bashing.
Isn't that sudden, expected blunt force?
Yeah, so especially the manipulator gets subject to some brutality that you normally wouldn't do in a manufacturing environment when you have a $250,000 manipulator that's all shiny. And that's, destined for a customer. So.
Well, like I said earlier this evening, we work in the harshest environment on Earth.
We did.
Well, that's cool. And is that a specialty of engineering to test to failure, or is that just part of the gig?
In a manufacturing environment, it's, as a technician, it's part of the, and as an engineer, it's part of the cycle to, design something, build it, and test it. So if you don't know how it works, it's harder to fix, and if you don't know how it breaks, you can't improve it. So that happens naturally by customer feedback, but it's if you're going to put a product out there that goes into this environment, it's not exactly like we can, stop at Walmart and buy spare parts.